unless we have, I don't think we have anyone else coming in, or, so let me talk about this space that we're in. So this is the original building from 1950. This is the original space that was designed, and this has served as a cafetorium for, 74, whatever, 3 years, since, the building was built. And, my time here prior, this has seen a lot of iterations. We had bleachers in the back, we had basketball courts, there's hardwood underneath here. The court's still underneath this for basketball and practice here. We never had the gym space we have now. We had only one gym. So this was primarily used as a gym, and then it was used for drama productions, it was used for musical recitals and so on. And over the time, the soundboard that we have there was, well, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 years ago. And that, we invested a lot in getting that together because we never had that years ago. And then that was a big addition. That was a huge deal, getting that in when I was a teacher, actually. And then, we had a big deal with the curtains. The curtains were terrible here for years. And then we finally spent $10,000 to get these curtains in about, I don't know how long ago that was, but that was a huge deal to get this auditorium functional, as a performance space. So where are we today? So right now, we're going to vote to see if we want to rehabilitate this room into a formal auditorium space. And a lot of questions and concerns about that. So let me go through a presentation. I'll answer any questions on it, and the financial end, the construction end, and so on. So why is this being proposed? So this was part of the strategic plan. If you go back to Vince Canini's tenure, Vince did a tremendous job of getting the district up to contemporary status. If you think of the all-new heating system, if you think of adding the gymnasiums, the library media centers, if you look at the classrooms, the technology, the district really has grown immensely in terms of getting updated. And it wasn't updated for a long time. The science wing was the first major addition to the building during, Reuben Jennings and Howard Romack led that with John Tully, and that was a big deal. Back in the 90s. That was the first huge capital project in a long time for Cambridge. So this project came out as the last piece of the grand plan to have the entire building redone. And this is the last vestiges of that. So when it got defeated in March of last year, I came on in August, and the project was reduced by $500,000, and the reason it was reduced was keeping the existing bathrooms, adding 2 or small bathrooms, because you have to have so many bathrooms per seats in an auditorium space. Just think of a break between a performance, people go into the bathroom, so you have to have the capacity to handle that. So that was reduced along with some other changes in terms of, on the other side of this wall is the faculty room, maintenance. This is the drama closet and storage. So this is also part of the auditorium that goes in here and that way. So those reductions enabled the project to be reconstituted. So why are we looking at this? Why are we looking to do this? Well, the school has outsourced our drama for over a decade to Hubbard Hall. This program was really robust here back in the 90s. We had a lot of, and we've always worked with Hubbard Hall. Even when I was here as an administrator, we had performances that we went over to. Kevin McGuire did Shakespeare here. We've always had a relationship with Hubbard Hall for a long time. That's never going to change. I know that's been questioned. But we now spend up to $20-something thousand a year at Hubbard Hall to put on our performances. That's a lot of money, but that is. And then Hubbard Hall does charge for those performances, and I understand that, but at the same time, you know, we aren't charging for any events in this school anymore. So we don't charge for athletic events. And when drama does come back here, so that we can celebrate that program, our students can be with their peers, we're not going to charge. We think it's important to bring the community in. So what are we looking to invest in? The arts and music program on our campus, like it has been. You know, we have a really artistic community. We do. You know, the Batco Chorale, community band, and right now we have invested in PE, and nobody's questioned that. You know, we have the most robust PE teaching stations. We have an amazing fitness center. The public uses it. We have a lot of people that come in and use the fitness center. We have 6 teaching stations in PE. So with professional offices, you know, we've invested in science. We've invested in every facet except music and art. So what is the new multi-purpose space going to be able to afford us to do? Everyone's like, oh, you're taking the recess space away. Well, we chartered recess in here this fall. We've used this facility 3 times for recess. We have 6 teaching stations in PE. We can easily use a gymnasium half of a space for PE and inclement weather. But the one thing that's nice about this school is our kids go outside for recess. They go outside in the cold. They go outside all winter long, and it's a wonderful, you know, experience because not a lot of schools do that. So by having a performing arts venue with a sound booth with the right lighting, you know, our kids can shine. And I think one of the things that we have separation right now. Our arts and music are separate from our student body. They go to Hubbard Hall. We're not unified, and that is problematic. Because I remember Brandon Seeley, I remember football players in plays here. That was always the case. There was no differentiating students based on the activities that they performed in. We have created that by moving theater to another place. And they do a great job. Hubbard Hall does a wonderful job with it. So what are we looking to do here? Well, we're going to offer a college level theater class next year. Through Hudson Valley. We're also going to offer a drone class in the technology end. And that's through a grant through BOCES. There's no additional cost to us. But what is it going to allow us to do? Well, we can still use it for testing. You know, the chairs, for the proposed chairs, a couple of examples, there's a lot more, have the ability for us to take reading tests. No different than a college lecture hall. Be the same thing. So we're not losing any testing. In terms of lecture hall for academics and presenters, this is we had 350 kids in here. We had a presentation from Sweetheart and Heroes. We had the sound. Every time we have something go on in here, it reverberates or it echoes, and it's really difficult. It is. It's not an ideal performance space. And if you're vertically challenged like I am, and you're sitting down like this, and I get behind somebody who's bigger, I'm doing this. And it's really, it's not a formal space. I know that may seem like, well, why do we need that? But we use the gymnasium. We had a peace flag assembly that was outstanding. Dr. Tom Porter came in, and we did it in the gymnasium on bleachers. Our kids were wonderful. We told them, look, you can't move your feet, because every time you move your feet on a bleacher, it makes a sound. And this person's giving a really delicate talk on kindness, on reconciliation, on nature. And what the kids were wonderful. But a gymnasium is not a presentation space. And then, you know, our National Honor Society this year, what a great group of kids to go in, right? But I couldn't hear 3 of them when they acknowledged their classmates and ordained them into the society because of the sound issues. And so it's not ideal. And I know that may seem like, okay, is that something that we should, you know, can we live within our means? Yeah, we can, and I want to move through that. But when we look at, the FFA program, public speaking, and so on, we moved American Legion out of here because of the sound issues and went to Granville Auditorium 20-something years ago for Washington County. We used to host it. Dan Severson wanted to make sure we hosted it. And then they asked that they would be able to move that. The area can still be used as a multi-purpose space. We can still do blood drives in here. We can still do a lot of things. Let's talk about the price. Let's go right to the nuts and bolts of what this is about. So our school budget has built into the capacity our capital outlay. That's in our existing school budget, at our existing tax rate. So the 2011 project that is getting paid off is $234,000 a year in payments. That's what we pay. That's our mortgage payment for that last capital outlay. The Library Media Center and some other pieces. So when you look at that, that comes off. So this project cost is $11.28 million, $11,280,000. The state right now, based on our wealth ratio, that's how they calculate this, reimburses us 79.5%. So for every dollar we spend, 79.5% the state kicks back. Our capital reserve fund is $1.3 million right now. We have in a reserve fund for capital improvement, $1.3 million. That money, half of it, we would apply to this project. The reason you apply capital reserve is that if this was to be approved, you have to pay for architectural design so that they can scope out the level of specificity so that we can go to a bid with contractors, get those bids, review those bids, award those bids. Before that even goes on, the state has to approve the specs. Once they approve those specs, we go to those bids. Once we get those bids, we award those bids, and we have our construction timeline. In order to get to that construction timeline, and before we set our bond, what happens is that capital outlay of 625 moves us to there with no further outlay. And that's important because when this project comes on as a bond, the 2011 project comes off, this project comes on at a mortgage rate of $229,000 a year. So here's 234 in our existing budget. That comes out, we push the 229 up. That's why it's no additional impact on the tax levy. So this isn't something that we're going to do and then say, okay, let's go out and add 3% to the tax levy. That's not what this is about. This is about having a structural process that was built in by Vince Canini, and he did a heck of a job, and you know that. It's exactly how it's been done. All these improvements have been done on that line. And when one comes off, we look at one more if there's a need. This is the last need in terms of a major outlay. So the project cost is $10.65 million after the reserve. Our project with reserve, state aid, and bond interest is $3.4 million over 15 years, $229,000 a year. Now, given that, what's happened over the last 8 years with our taxes? This is the tax levy set by the school district over the past 8 years, and this is our population of students. So over the last 8 years, our taxes have gone up 15.73% in this school district. That's a lot, I get it. That averages almost 2% a year increase in taxes. Okay? That's our student population over the past 8 years. So when people are coming to me and saying, my taxes have gone up, and I recognize that. And I lived in the district for 18 years and paid school taxes. And I think taxes are too high. And I have had meetings about our staffing and where we are as a budget, and where our population is. And there's some things that we have to do better. We have to provide better services. It's not always human resources. It's not always human resources. But these numbers have held steady. Those are the numbers. Reported to the state, those are the numbers in our minutes of our board. That's what we approved. This is what it looks like from the top. If you were to say, what's going to happen? Well, this stage goes really far back. What would happen is we would slope this so that the seating would be sloped so that every seat is staggered so you wouldn't have obstruction when you're looking at the stage. And then when you look over to that side, to the west side, the storage would move to the stage. So actors and actresses wouldn't have to come down. That would be up here. The maintenance facility room is in the middle, and the faculty room would be moved over to there, to the far end. The entrance would be reestablished so that it's just like an entrance in the library where the public can enter right into a performance and exit out. That's important. The lobby area where you have the hallway right to the back of this wall would create a lobby area for intermission. It'd be a display area for student art, etc. When we look at what it would look like in a rendition, because we're in a cinder block rectangular building, a room, you would see the sound panels on the top, you'd see what the performance section would look like, and how the seating would be. That would be looking at the seating. There'd be 540 seats. Currently we have 420 chairs or 430 chairs, something. I checked with Rich. That would be the lobby. Another piece that we have is maintenance. Every time we have a performance, we have to set up, take down, set up, take down. What we end up doing is spending a lot of time setting up and taking down, depending on what the performance is, who the speaker is. Obviously, we knew we weren't going to have hundreds of people tonight, so we didn't set up as many chairs. Things that we're doing on the night of the 12th, we have a 3 through 6 concert, so we're moving all the teacher parking over to the bus garage to accommodate our parents. We have great participation in our events. People come to our events. They come, grandparents come. That's a community school. That's growing up in Cambridge. Cambridge is where you can be a student and your grandparents are out in the audience when you're performing. That's always been the case here. Neighbors show up to see kids. That's what happens in this school. You know, our kindergarten class will be performing with our high school glee club with Mr. Hollowatch, which will be a great performance. We have a grant for 4 years, farm to table grant, and we're going to do some food tasting. That's a heck of a program. The USDA funded us for 4 years to provide free lunches to every kid and breakfast. And our participation rate is going up immensely, and it's helped our community. A lot of people have thanked us for that, because not having to get a meal ready for a kid, not having to pay for lunches has made a big difference for some of our families. And that's been fun. I mean, that's a nice thing. Student art show will be going on. So what are some of the things that we have to do if we're going to do this? We have an in-school suspension room, which we're getting out of in-school suspension. We're going to put kids in a classroom, not in a little cubicle that we have on the back side here. That's going to become bathrooms. The distance learning lab is aging out in terms of distance learning. We have that. We can do distance learning in any classroom in our building. That can be done on a Promethean board now. That was built when technology first came out. It's not as relevant anymore because we can move that anywhere. One of the things that Cambridge has established is ID to vote. And I know there's a lot of opposition, and I've spoken to people about it. And I'll say this about Cambridge, and I said it today on the news when Dan Levy was talking to me. The mascot issue really was about people wanting the same thing. It was really interesting. I had a really long talk with Dwayne Hanios about this. Cambridge is a really passionate town, and people really are expressive, and I think that's wonderful. People wanted to support indigenous people by having the mascot. People wanted to support indigenous people by not having the mascot. They both wanted the same thing. The school went as far as it could with a lawsuit, and it was dismissed today. It's over. The one thing that I know about this community, when it's together, it's strong. It's amazing. When it's not, it's tough. It's tough. Believe me, first thing I did when I had a lot of conversations about mascot, and it really, the thing that was amazing about it, I met with the student leaders, and the students said, and Kat Murphy said it best. She goes, Mr. Vecine, both sides were just so passionate. That's the thing that really stood out to me, is that people care. They care in this community. You may not agree with what they're caring about or how they're caring, but they care. That's a powerful statement from the president of the National Honor Society to a superintendent that she just first met. And then the next one, from Deacon Snyder was, the class president, senior class president was, we just want a mascot. We want everybody to be together. It's really hard to be a student in this school and see how people, the adults, are so apart. That's from 2 students. I'm coming in clean on this. I didn't have anything in the game. I just talked to them. And it was really powerful. And I think, this is not something to divide us. This is something to vote your conscience on. If you agree with it, if you think we should invest in this and support our arts and our music programs, then vote for it. If you don't, then don't vote for it. But I think the thing that we have to do as a school is recognize the support that we get from our taxpayers to run this school. And this school has a great reputation. It's produced a lot of great people who've gone on to a lot of great things. I know there's a lot of pain about public schools, but I'll tell you one thing. The graduates of this school, both my daughters are graduates, K-12, and they're doing outstanding because they went to this school. And when you talk to people about this school, they can all recognize a teacher that influenced them. And it had nothing to do with what they taught. It had the relationships. This is a relationship town, and what I've seen here is when there's support, we can conquer the world. But the one thing I have thought about is, our kids are watching adults in this society, and our adults have not been acting well. Look, we can disagree, and Harold, you and I, we've had our disagreements, but you know what? We have a lot in common, and you know that, and we've had those conversations. So when we talk about things, when we invest in our kids, we prosper. We prosper. When our school prospers, we all do well. We all do well. There's not one person in this room that isn't proud when our football team made it to the Dome the year before, or has done well. We have been proud to go to other communities and say that. When we go to a concert or go to a performance at Hubbard Hall and watch our kids do really well, we're proud. I'm out talking to people about it because we believe in our kids, and we've always done that here. And we've always used that as a sense of pride of being from Cambridge. And it's been so special, and that's why I kept my kids here. I kept them K-12 here because of this school, because of the teachers in this school, because of the commitment the school has. And I'm just saying to you, do as you want, vote as you should, but think about this is an investment in us. This is an investment in community. This is an investment in really the last piece of the puzzle in terms of CAP project. This is what this is about. And it's an investment in our students who have been marginalized. Art, music, and drama are important. They're darn important. That's why Hubbard Hall has existed for as long as it has in a small town. Think about that. We're one of the smallest towns in upstate New York to have a nonprofit art center. Why? Because people believe in the arts in this community. And people who believe in athletics need to support those people who believe in the arts. And people who believe in the arts need to support those athletics. Because all those things matter. They all matter to us. They're all important. They're all teachable spaces. And that's what we want this to be.